Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Metro Television News. This bulletin is coming to you live from the Ikuya Bwaima studios right here at Metro TV. Now coming up in the headlines. The National Democratic Congress calls on government to withdraw all military personnel deployed to the Lower Manya and Yilokroba areas in order to ease what they describe as unnecessary tension and make way for citizens to go about their normal duty. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia says, in spite of the ongoing global economic crisis, the NPP has chalked remarkable success in many sectors. Now we'll take you to the Ashanti region where residents of Kumewu Bodomase are complaining about deep trenches in the community. Now for international news, the UN calls for an immediate stop to hostilities in Libya. Welcome once again to Newsbeat. I am Isiodua Akumia. Now, residents of Kumewu Bodomase are calling on government and local authorities to expedite action and construct their town roads and drainage system. This comes after deep trenches in the town cost the lives of residents whilst leaving others with various degrees of injuries. Here is a report by Shadrach Odame Ejari.
In 2021, the news team visited Kumewu Bodomase to report on some community development gaps. It was then that the issue of deep trenches in the town, which has eventually turned death traps, came to light.
Abanzo so be na kakrani be mfie be miensani o se Kumewu Bodomase obe town rules caterpillar ewo Kumewu eba Bodomase ayi akwane a efi obesine yenti kutam jame e monka nsu otokora na ye nanka ne yetan ba bi kura nanka yepe nenso ye de adesede efa Metro TV so mon sentwefo so na aba te se Kumewu Bodomase town rules no o ka so be no e wo mi se nimfo doso na krobia betumponi a omabia betumponi a eso ma na fa na ye na kwan titu.
This is one of the waterways of the rivers serving Bodomase. It looks dry and dusty because the rains have not set in. Bit by bit, these trenches or deep trenches in Kumewu Bodomase are swallowing residents. There's been a lot of casualties recorded. People in this community would have to be going through this dark place on this death trap. Now let's see how it's looking with the light. So this is the light from my camera. That is what is brightening up this place. Imagine if, like I started, there was no light and someone decided to use this route. It's very narrow. What happens when someone trips and then fall? When you fall, you are falling so deep in this trench. This is a stone. dropped in it will tell you how deep this trench is. Let me get to one resident here. She will tell us how much of a worry this is to persons living in this community.
Oh, I'm ready. About 15 years. Baby,
I'm now we were.
Aye, at the Hassa and so no try, and easy cry. And me fancy best 5 years or 6 years. And you call this you. And your cost and say a panicho. Omra, me my ye, Brony so man, and ye boy, one and you call this you. And your coy, and your corner catcher say, young cover many pabby. And your be or many pabai. Still, near San Quay or catcher say, young co, and about 4. Now, young cobon and amani. Until 2 and a more corner now. Your coin and anaka say, yeah, has seen a common fund now, Hannah. Enti me, and yet. I don't know my auntie, young son could this you. Na young son cobona money. Until a sour coin, this you cobona money. And why I say, young tonight a rabbit, and your cranny will be and see a beauty and see your church.
Make say, a be at to my pra, a be at to my woo to me actually, Musa.
And your me, I'm a name of Cassay. Now you maybe say, na me dware wi me pese me kodanti na me gina high piece ti dem hu yanse me hu se enipa bi ba na light no ato eda hanti ti me hu se oba na afi kwansi me hu se nipa na asia e wa na enipa wo be yi wo wan na dimika na be gina a bridge no so afi me tu mani na nipa no ne ba na esu e wa menanu na me di boy na ne ba senachi ana me tu bram se me mamro bi atom nanu ana veterinary bi doctor veterinary doctor ene ne we fia na me doctor so de o no dimirika nto oba na wo wo bro so dimirika bai ti na mo watwede bi e wapa ana wo mo boa ene de atwede ni sim enipa na ejina soro se ne eje maame no again no ne de to afi na tese wa collapse ayemre
obi fufo so wuye
pa cha no papa besiri wa bi ono so anafo ase ono so trom ye de ko to eje wa ankasa na wuye.
Government, after our first report, was able to put up this drainage. But then, to this point, what we hear is what they are telling the residents is they are done. This is where the money that they were given was able to get to. So then, until they are given another funding, they cannot continue with this. And so, possibly till we wait for the contractors to come in and then fix this issue, which has gradually turned into a death trap, we will certainly be recording more casualties, if not constant death of residents living in Bodumase, because people would have to be going through this narrow bridge, which has no rails around to support them, and they would also have to do it at the expense of their own lives. Reporting for Metro News, Shedrack Odami Ejare, Kumewu Bodumase, Ashanti region.
Now, away from that, 2 persons have been arrested by the Owutu Bojuase District Police Command for allegedly stealing fuel at a telecommunication transmission site. Now, 1 other suspect, however, managed to escape and is currently being sought after by the police.
These officers say they rushed to the scene after a distress call from a supervisor in charge of a telecommunication transmission site around the Methodist school in Owutu Bojuase that fuel in the generator plant at the site had been siphoned by a group of persons. The suspects, Bernard Al-Hassan, a 32-year-old driver, and Samuel Lofay, also known as Melody, who is 29 years old, are in police custody. The main suspect, identified as Oko, is currently on the run. 19 gallons containing the siphoned diesel were retrieved at the time of the arrest.
Now, the Ghana Police Service wishes to refute claims that some police officers broke into the house of Mr. Ernesto Taricon of Tozako Limited. The facts are that police conducted an investigation into alleged land guard activities at Adregano, a suburb of Accra, which led to the arrest of 5 suspects: Akrubila Ananfo, Razak Seidu, Abdullah Abdul Fattah, Bar Samuel, and Francis Agbavedo and the retrieval of a Mossberg pump action gun loaded with 10 rounds BB cartridges from them. The suspects were on 26th August 2022 arraigned for an Accra on charges of conspiracy to commit crime and engage in land guard activities. They were remanded by the courts into police custody to reappear on 30th August 2022. In the course of investigation, it emerged that Mr. Morris Iron of Trasaco Limited contracted the suspects to undertake their illegal activities. A bench warrant was therefore issued by the court for his arrest. The police, acting on information that the suspect was the residence of Mr. Ernesto Taricon, visited the house to execute the warrant. Upon arrival at the house, the police knocked on the door and someone came to attend to them and informed them that Ian Morris was not at the residence at the time. The police therefore left a message for him to report to the police. Police will continue to look for him to execute the bench warrant. The Ghana Police Service is therefore calling on the public to disregard and treat with contempt the baseless claims of forceful entry against the police and the purported use of commandos, since the police service has no commandos. Away from that, the Gomoa East Health Directorate is appealing to the Traditional Council to see to fast-track expansion works of one of the Gomoa Fete CHIP's compound. This, according to the Directorate, will help reduce the current pressure on the facility as well as improve healthcare delivery.
Members of the Gomoa Fete Traditional Council paid a visit to the CHIPS compound to assess progress of expansion works at the facility. The council is seeking to upgrade the CHIPS compound to a clinic. While acknowledging the efforts of the chiefs, the Public Health Director pleaded on contractors to fast-track the expansion work. Currently, the CHIPS compound can only admit 3 patients at a time in its single ward shared by both males and females.
On behalf of my District Director, Felix Adipari, and his team, we received these items and we are so happy to have this, because it's going to go a long way to encourage mothers to come to the facility, and also to patronize the facility, especially those who deliver at home. We want them to come to the facility to come and deliver, and so we thank them so much. We also thank the whole community, especially the chiefs who came here to do this presentation. I think we also reminded them of the project that they have started, and they promise to continue and complete it nicely.
Members of the Traditional Council promised to see to the timely completion of the project.
We have not forgotten about this project. We've made it our main priority to have it completed in a year's time so that we can upgrade the status of this facility to a clinic. We would implore you to continually remind us.
Yeah, the botiers ye in bado. Na botaino, modi kan ye chip compound ha. De ye ba ye bibi wa ha. Na ye fi chip compound na ya den ye do clinic. Enti nje de bedi dwuma bi wa ha. Na dwuma no on fi yin malo. Titir na ye da afi no anu ya da odi kan. Na mje de de ye be da afi bo wi afidanse bi dam no. Enna ha no efi chip compound na ekodo clinic.
They also donated some items to the facility.
Students of Feteman Senior High School at Gomoa Fete in the Central Region walked several hours to get water, a situation which affected their academic work. After several years, help has finally come. Here's more.
Students of Feteman Senior High School for years struggled to get potable water. They depended on a small water pump, which was used by residents as well. The situation affected the academic performance. The Omankrado of Gomo Afete Traditional Council, Nana Kwesi Kwanza, then funded the construction of a mechanized water system to tackle the problem. This brought excitement to the school.
Please, we're having a lot of challenges. Sometimes we find it difficult to get water. When they close the tap, we have to go to town to look for water. And sometimes when the water is locked down, it comes maybe around 3 days, so we have to wait. Within that 3 days, and if you don't get water, you have to go to town looking for water. And sometimes we have to go and beg people for water. If you don't get water, you have to buy water from town or anywhere before we come back.
We don't have water. Some use only one pail to bath, and it is not enough. As a lady, you have to take in many water to bath. It affects us because time that you have to go to class to learn, now that others are in town looking for water to come and bath.
Headmistress of the school, Sarah Mauto Kwame, believes the project is timely.
Management and the entire student body, I wish to express my appreciation to Nana and his elders for giving us this great gift of water. In fact, water has been a problem to us. On many occasions, we get water shortage where Nana has to call on the fire service and other bodies to bring us water. At times, due to water shortage, we have to close down classes for 2-3 days. Today, God willing, we have had this precious gift, and I think that water problem has been solved forever in the history of the school. So all we have to say is a big thank you to Nana and all the people behind this idea.
Meanwhile, the Omankrado called out the MP and DCE of the area for failing to continue a similar project which was initiated by the outgone MP, Kojo Asemanyi. The chief believes the project, when completed, would augment the existing facility.
Your former MP, Asemanyi, over 2 years, you two na dear sono. I say MP awaba, and DCE awaba, ebe twaso. I'm
worried about the fact that our MP and DCE have neglected a similar project initiated by the former MP. Nana was continually worried by the school, so I decided to initiate this water project. I entreat the current MP and DCE to complete the old project.
Almost the end of county a boy school no, ama school no, so oma adie here no about for ne out share at the fufu.
Well, it's time for us to go on a very short break. When we come back, we are going to go to the NDC headquarters to see what is happening with the fire service personnel. So do stay tuned. Welcome back to Newsbeat. Now, the National Democratic Congress is condemning in no uncertain terms what is described as government's high-handedness to resolving disagreement in the installation of prepaid meters in the Lower Menya and Yellow Krobo areas. According to a statement issued by the party on 28th of August 2022, government must withdraw all military personnel deployed to the Lower Menya and Yellow Krobo areas in order to ease what they describe as unnecessary tension and make way for citizens to go about their normal duties. Part of the statement reads, the party's leadership is appalled at how a simple process of installing prepaid meter for residents in these communities has been badly managed by the Akufo-Addo government, the Ministry of Energy and Management of the Electricity Company of Ghana. We hold the view that the military-backed force installation of prepaid meters in the area without proper community engagement and sensitization was completely unnecessary. The NDC condemns in no uncertain terms government's high-handed approach to resolving these issues and the brutalities meted out to innocent citizens in the area by the military. We call on government to, as a matter of urgency, withdraw all military personnel who have been deployed to the Krobwa area in order to ease the unnecessary tension and give way for citizens to go about their normal lives freely. Now we'll be speaking to Peter Okono, who is the Deputy General Secretary, later during the bulletin. But before that, the Assemblyman for Mamobi Western Boateng has bemoaned the silence of government following the decision by the MCE of the area to demolish the homes of over 2,000 residents in the community. He made this known after a scheduled meeting with the Regional Minister, Henry Quartey, failed to take place with just a day to the deadline given to them to leave.
I had a call yesterday that this morning there will be a stakeholders meeting between the assembly members of Ayawaso North and also the imams and some opinion leaders and market of the Queen Mothers. We will meet and discuss with the regional minister to look the way forward about this issue. But we're briefed that the meeting has been cancelled. What we were told is that after that meeting, the minister will visit us and at least give some 1 or 2 words to us. But that one has been cancelled. So as you can see, people are ready to meet the minister, but it has been cancelled. So I have to tell them to move to their various places. Because there's tension, because we know tomorrow they are coming. They think they are coming on tomorrow. But I have told them that President Nana Addo will never do such a wicked things to us. So they should go and rest. At the right time, if we have to move, I will tell them that now it's due time for us to move. Yes, we'll be very happy because that's what the community is waiting for. And that's the reason why we even did the demonstration, because several petitions has been written to the various institutions, but they are not responding. So they thought they have been left out or they have been abandoned as Ghanaians. That's why their wishes to meet the government, any representative from the state, to come and talk to us. Those that will be affected, it's almost about 10,000 and over. And look at this situation, that the MC is giving us just 21 days to evacuate from the land. We see it's unfair. At first they give us 8 days, then they move it to 21 days. But my brother, you and I know that we are not in normal time and things are very difficult.
So going back to the National Democratic Congress story, we've been joined via phone by the Eastern Regional Minister and Chairman of the Regional Security Council, Seth Acheampong. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So the Electricity Company of Ghana has for a long time faced resistance from some residents in the Lower Manya and Yellow Krobwa areas. Even after the disagreement was resolved just last week, there was a clash between residents of Noaso and the military helping to install Azure prepaid meters. Now, as the chairman of the Regional Security Council, will you recommend the withdrawal of the military?
Thank you very much. I think that the decision by the Ministry of National Security, based on the situation within the two municipalities, by the experts in respect of the threat levels, the decision was made to employ the services of the 49 Engineers Regiment unit of the Ghana Armed Forces, who have the technical know-how to support the Electricity Company of Ghana to deploy the prepaid meter. So it was a carefully analyzed and assessed action. So I think we would have to go back to that drawing board to evaluate before we can make any such decisions again.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so that was the regional minister, and that was Seth Echampong, who is the Regional Security Council. He's also the Eastern Regional Minister and the chairman. Okay, so moving on to the next story. Organizer of the Katanga Hall alumni at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Anthony Avege, has described the decision by the University Council of the school to abolish the junior common room system as too harsh and says it must be reconsidered. He says the way forward must be to get through the bottom of the matter and find a solution to it.
Maybe for want of a better expression, as a knee-jerk reaction, I also think you can consider it as like throwing away the baby with the bathwater. JCRs are meant to groom leaders, you know, to make people become leaders, make people matured, and take decisions, and also mentor and direct other folks. So you can also see it as, you know, as a country, we've been practicing democracy for some years now. But of course, you've seen that it's not a perfect system. It's not near perfection at all.
Right.
It's come with its own challenges. I mean, does that mean that we should throw the kind of democracy we practice and go for another system of governance? I don't think so.
Now, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia says, in spite of the ongoing global economic crisis, which has had a devastating effect on the Ghanaian economy in the past 2.5 years, the MPP government has chalked many remarkable success in many sectors. Speaking at the centenary anniversary launch of the Accra Senior High School, Dr. Bawumia admitted that the economic challenges the country is currently facing is as a result of the overall global economic crisis resulting from the combined effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, the war in Ukraine, among other factors.
Sometimes in the midst of the economic challenges that we are experiencing, COVID crisis, and more recently, the Russia-Ukraine war, we forget that so much is being done. Under the leadership of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, we have chalked many successes. We have done many things for the first time in our history. So far, so good. The free SHS has seen the enrollment of hundreds of thousands of people, boys and girls, who would otherwise not have been able to attain senior high school education. We are also very pleased that as a result of the free SHS, more girls have enrolled, and there is now virtual gender parity across the senior high school between boys and girls. Madam Chairperson, permit me to also pay tribute to the founder of this school, the late Reverend James Thomas Roberts, his able assistants, namely Barrister J.A. Glover Addo, Dr. E.V. Nanka Bruce, and John Bachman, and all who worked tirelessly to assist him to establish this school. I know you have produced many, very distinguished and outstanding students. 100 years in the life of anyone is a great milestone. For Accra High School, this centenary celebration should be the time to open a new chapter as far as the school is concerned. Government will forever remain a great partner of AHISCO in any pursuits that they seek to take the school to another level.
Now, away from that, on Wednesday, August 24th, 2022, we appealed for help for little Zara, who is battling with leukemia. The doctors needed 60,000 Ghana cedis for her treatment. 3 days later, the 60,000 Ghana cedis needed had been raised, and we are grateful to everyone who either contributed, shared the flyer, and said a prayer. Parents of little Zara are very grateful. The Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission has disclosed that plans are underway to get antiretroviral drugs to pharmacies and CHPS compounds to make them more accessible to the infected persons. Dr. Steve Etuahene said the Commission is facing a funding gap and urged churches and benevolent organizations to support the Commission manage HIV infections and prevent the spread of the disease.
Recent statistics from the National STI and HIV/AIDS Control Program suggest a total of 23,495 people tested positive for HIV in the first half of 2022. This, according to the Ghana AIDS Commission, shows a sharp decline in new infections over the last 5 years, but there is still cause for worry.
When you look at the data from the trend from 2019 to 2022, you see quite clearly that in 2019 it was more than 35,000, and it keeps reducing until 2022, where we had a 23,495. And so when you look at the percentage decline, it's about 33%. That's fantastic. I mean, it's quite impressive. It means that we are now seeing less number of people living with HIV. And that, in my view, tells us that the treatment program is working. Because we can see that between 2017 and 2021, new infections are also declining. So far, within that period of 5 years, new infections have declined by 26%. And within the same period, AIDS-related deaths have also declined by 38%, almost 40%, just within 5 years. And that, for us, is very encouraging.
Dr. Etuahene says soon, antiretroviral drugs will be more accessible in communities.
We have medicines all over the country, in the teaching hospitals, regional hospitals, district hospitals, some polyclinics, some health centers, and efforts are being made by the Ghana Health Service and its stakeholders to bring the medicines to the doorsteps of the clients. And so it is possible that very soon people can pick their medicines from CHPS compound or from pharmacies in their communities.
Global Fund for HIV/AIDS campaign programs in the country has dwindled, and now the AIDS Commission is looking internally for support.
The funding issue is our #1 headache. It's the most challenging problem we have. The fact is that we get funding from the Global Fund, and the Global Fund 2 years ago decided that of the 350,000 people living with HIV in Ghana, they can only provide treatment for 125,000, which means the 225,000 remaining must be taken care of domestically.
We take another break. We'll be back with business, sports, and entertainment. Do stay tuned. It's time for business news. The Ghana Union of Traders has called off its planned shop closures scheduled for Monday, August 29, 2022. This was after a meeting with the Council of State.
Earlier this week, the Ghana Union of Traders Association organized a press conference to draw government's attention to how the depreciation of the cedi is affecting their business. The leaders resolved that they will close down all their shops on Monday, August 29, to demonstrate particularly against the persistent depreciation of the Ghana cedis.
There have been a series of pressure and agitations coming from members of the trading community on the leadership of Guta to register our frustrations and desperations to the government to appreciate the extent to which we are suffering as a result of the depreciation of the cedi. By the details of the trading community, by the details of the trading community, by the details of the trading community, we declare closure of shops in Accra on Monday, 29th August.
The public relations officer of Guta, Joseph Paddy, says they reached the decision to suspend their intended demonstration after a crunch meeting with the Council of State, who assured them their concerns will be duly addressed by government.
What we've done is that we have suspended the closure of the shop for a month, and we have put out some roadmaps. A committee has been set by the Council of State, where Guta has about 9-member team. I'm part of the team, and the Council of State also has a committee on trade. Monday we are meeting, and we have a short-term, a medium-term, and a long-term proposal that we put before them. So they've assured us that, in fact, all the issues that we have raised, they are legitimate, and they share interests, and they share our concern. They even add more onto what we were saying. So as a result of that intervention, we resolved to halt and suspend the closure till 1 month.
Guta says government has up to a month to address their concerns.
The expected $750 million loan from the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, has hit the accounts of the Ghana government. The government is expecting a total of $2 billion in loans from different sources, including Afreximbank. The Bank of Ghana is expected to receive the first tranche of the $1.3 billion Cocoa Board Cocoa syndicated loan by October 2022.
The second tranche of $390 million is also expected to be received from November 2022 to February 2023. According to reports, the fund will be drawn down from the Ghana International Bank in London, one of the participating banks in the program. The inflow is expected to aid the central bank deal with the current depreciation of the cedi. Therefore, the Bank of Ghana will take the dollars and give the cedi equivalent to Cocoa Board for cocoa purchases for the next crop season. The loan agreement was scheduled to have been completed by August 25, 2022, after the participating banks were engaged. Meanwhile, the banks are Standard Chartered Bank, Rabobank, Ghana International Bank, French Investment Bank, Natixis, Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, and one of Japan's largest banks, MUFG.
Well, that's it for business. Up next is sports news. Gabriel Magalhaes atoned for an earlier error by scoring a late winner as Arsenal came from behind to beat Fulham 2-1 and maintain their 100% start to the season. The Arsenal centre-back was caught on the ball on the edge of his own box for Fulham's opener, his mistake allowing Alexander Mitrovic to put the visitors in front against the run of play. But after Martin Odegaard had pulled the Gunners level with a deflected strike from Bukayo Saka's pass, Gabriel poked home from a few yards out when former Arsenal goalkeeper Bernard Leno failed to claim a corner. Fulham had shown impressive resolve up until then, with Leno making a string of saves to deny his former side as the hosts dominated by Arsenal's pressure eventually told at a jubilant Emirates Stadium. Gabriel's strike sending them back to the top of the Premier League. Well, that's it for sports. Up next is entertainment news. French ambassador to Ghana, Anne-Sophie Ave, has been made a permanent citizen of Ghana after completing a 4-year duty tour as an ambassador of Ghana. This was announced by Ghanaian reggae dancehall artist Stonebwoy at a goodbye party organized in Accra.
This ambassador, it makes people go France fast. Because of the long way she gets. And they lie. People don't like the truth. We would like to tell the truth and go. Yeah. You know, so we give them, she's one of the ambassadors way, they can't Ghana way. They show love to the industry. I mean, I don't know if she they sing. Last year she they sing. So we like for feature. But today is like the last day she's signing out. We love her, of course, she knows we love her from the bottom of our heart, just like the way she loves Ghana. And wherever she goes, she's going to carry Ghana on because she alone, she's the chief for 4 cities. So she continues to do like she looks Ghanaian. You see her right now, we all pray for her. So wherever she goes, they have to send her back to Ghana again. Yeah!
Oh, you're making her emotional. You love her. You don't want her to go.
Okay, I beg. Bolorese can break the news. On behalf of Her Excellency, and Anne-Sophie has been made a permanent citizen.
Let's go.
Thank you very much. Beautiful.
Anne-Sophie Ave will indeed be missed. Well, it's time for international news. At least 23 people were killed and dozens more were wounded during the fights in Libya. Among the dead was young comedian Mustafa Baraka. Libya has been in chaos since the NATO-backed uprising in 2011 that ousted long-serving ruler Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. Despite this, the country had enjoyed a relatively calm period of the last 2 years. On Saturday, armed forces of the internationally recognized government tried to push back a convoy of militia loyal to Fathi Bashagha, the man whom a rival Eastern Parliament recognizes as Prime Minister. There were reports of small arms fire and explosions in several areas of the capital. Black smoke could be seen rising across the city. Emergency services said a number of hospitals had been hit. People were also evacuated from areas around the fight. For the next international story, the death toll from the monsoon rains has reached 1,033, with 119 killed in the previous 24 hours, according to the National Disaster Management Authority. The US, UK, UAE and others have contributed to a disaster appeal, but more funds are needed. Speaking to the BBC, Interior Minister official Salman Sufi said the country was desperate for international support. But that's it for Newsbeat. But before we go, here's a round of the headlines. The National Democratic Congress calls on government to withdraw all military personnel deployed to the Lower Manya and Yellow Kobo areas in order to ease what they describe as unnecessary tension. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia says in spite of the ongoing global economic crisis, the NPP has shown remarkable success in many sectors. Now we took you to the Ashanti region where residents of Kumewu Bodumase are complaining about deep trenches in the community. And for the international news, calls for immediate stop. UN calls for immediate stop to hostilities in Libya. Well, that's it for Newsbeat. I am Isiodua Akumia. Thank you so much for joining. Do stay tuned for more right here on Metro Television. Have a wonderful afternoon.